tons of time to talk about.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about anything because it's just lunchtime
Yeah.
with the crew, and we like to get live. If you guys want to interrupt and come in live, video chat with us, feel free on Facebook. Ring us up. Give us your 2 cents or 4 cents or dime of knowledge. We like to hear from everybody, and we just love what we do. I'm a little. Doesn't happen much, man, but I'm still like jet lagged from the weekend.
Yeah.
And so hopefully I'll be at least sharp on my knowledge side. I think my personality side might be lacking today. But
All right,
let's talk about the basics of streaming. How to get into streaming. What equipment do you need? What services do you want to look for, or what's available? We don't get too much into telling you what you should use. We'll, from time to time, recommend things that have worked for us. That doesn't mean other things will not work for you. Matter of fact, one of the big reasons to get a good consortium or a group together like this is to share ideas, because it's virtually impossible. It's almost impossible for even the experts to expertly speak on all aspects, all the things that are available, because it's just not practical to have worked with all the streaming services out there, or all the cameras out there, or all the mixers out there. And we need to hear from a lot of people, almost in a survey type of understanding, and know what your good and bad experiences are. And we're able to do that with some of the pieces of equipment, because there's some guys out there that are in our circle that have used the same. And for instance, like TriCaster, we love it. We're fully integrated, but our good friend and a knowledge expert, Ryan Ryder, over in Louisiana, they've had some difficulties. And it's always good to hear the balance. I like that whenever I'm searching for like hotels or restaurants to
you want to see the good and the bad experiences.
Yeah, you don't want to just see all good.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
almost makes me suspicious if I see they're all good.
I agree.
I kind of go,
theoretically, I guess it's not impossible, if something's really
Sure.
great and everybody, but it does raise up that flag of suspicion.
Yeah.
Like, are these plants? But in our world, we know the way electronics work.
Right.
There are as much good and bad experiences, and we like to hear them and then be able to weigh them out, talk about them.
Yeah, so let's talk about some of the platforms that you can stream to.
Okay, that's
I know
good.
we're kind of starting at the end point of a streaming option, but Facebook Live has really taken up a lot of market share on live streaming.
Who uses Facebook Live? As we're talking about it, if you're using Facebook Live as your primary platform to distribute your service, your Sunday morning or whatever services you have, put that in the comment section or the chat section. And are we on YouTube today?
Yep, we are.
Okay, so if you're watching on YouTube,
youtube.com/lab440. Okay, so 2 years ago, it's hard to believe it's 2 years ago, the Chewbacca Mom thing blew up, and Facebook Live went from being, Facebook is where you'd upload things you already shot, photos you're not really doing anything live, and they brought in Facebook Live, and in my mind, I went, well, they're just adding another feature because it's Facebook, every few weeks there's something new, they're copying something. And the VOD element, on-demand side of that Chewbacca Mom really blew up. I mean, imagine if it had just ended no on-demand, she wouldn't have been the sensation.
Right, so it was just, you could do it from your phone, boom.
The phone.
And now it didn't take too long
either.
It took maybe 4 to 6 months before they put it an API inside of your browser,
that was huge.
and allowed you to do it from your computer. And then they released the API on that because you guys, we were all asking, hey man, we want to do that through our switch or whatever we were using to push out.
RTMP settings.
And so
that was good.
And so they did.
But they did, and it blew up. Now, I see so many, especially online, like podcast type shows, they're all on Facebook. We're on Facebook right now. That just to show, we wouldn't have been on Facebook Live if we were doing this 2 years ago. We would have had a completely different strategy. So I think I'm interested in Facebook, your experiences, pros, cons. John, I know you brought up, I don't know if you want to start with pros, cons yet, or you want to talk about them all. But I know one of the big,
if somebody has some input.
Cons, was it Facebook Live can't do stereo, is that correct?
Well, we did the test. If you'll go back and look at some of our test on Digital Media Labs, or I don't think we put it on MediaTek Mentor, but so. And I raised a fuss in a couple of
the Facebook groups.
Shaking my fist in anger. How dare you, Facebook? And that was.
Is it really that much more to process having a left-right than mono?
And as far as I know, I haven't done the test recently, but as far as I know, Facebook is still in mono, and where YouTube, Twitch was stereo,
is
definitely
and
stereo.
Livestream.com, which is
Livestream
what we use
stereo,
for a lot of stuff.
So we multi-platform our events. We do 1,300 events a year, so there's a different application. Not all of those are broadcast, but a lot of them are. And every day we're doing something in the broadcast world. Yeah. So these platforms, our primary, which has been the case for about 5 years now, is Livestream. And before that, we built our own Wowza server and at Rackspace, or the Planet actually, and the Planet housed our CDN, so we did our own CDN. It just became way too costly for the bang that we were getting.
Server maintenance and all that stuff.
Yeah, and
uptime. So.
And that was early on, kind of where not many churches were streaming, and you were trying to figure it out.
Well, I think even IP-based production in the U.S. was different. Internationally, that was kind of how broadcast is still done that way. But in the U.S., it was like you can watch, because most people didn't have fast internet. They couldn't even watch.
Right, and it was tough even uploading, and the quality that you had to upload. So over time, the free enterprise market responded. You get live streams, and all these other platforms, they started really honing in on how to do it well, how to deliver your good product as a good product across platforms. So we started with live stream. They've done really well for us, not without some challenges here and there, but sometimes you've just got to be able to face the challenges with your vendor, whatever that is. And now that doesn't mean you have to put up with bad customer service, but you have to have realistic expectations. And especially in technology, when you're building, you're constantly evolving. You really need to have realistic expectations on where you're going with your product and what that should look like. Now that evolution has taken place, and I think we have better ideas now 5-6 years down the road. Livestream has improved drastically from 5 years ago for us.
And they even did a redesign 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago. They had, it's called like the new Livestream, which is what's available now.
They constantly
are much better.
Rethinking how to do it better. Yeah. So we like them. Now we are grandfathered into a very inexpensive plan, and I know if you look at the cost of that, it's some churches may not feel that it's economical. And we're weighing that out. Even though we're on a good plan, that's what's kept us there. But when you think about Facebook being a free platform, and you think about YouTube being a free platform, you do have to jump through some hoops with licensing things. I think that for free,
and your content restricted.
You could get around that kind of stuff really easy when you're talking about free platform delivery system. So just make sure you're licensed up with CCLI or whatever licensing group, and that's probably something we should attack too, if not today, in the future. how important the licensing part of that is. But you could get that. Licensing shouldn't be an issue on these free platforms anymore. You can send in your license numbers or just sign off on the fair use of what you're using. If you're not intending it to be the attraction or the draw, you're not really infringing on copyrights. So there's a lot of things to really, really contemplate in the whole gamut, and I don't think we'll have time to get there. But and if you guys want to talk about them, just put it in the chat, or video chat into us, and it's a tech show, so use your technology to hang out with us and talk to us. So go back to the platforms.
Yeah, platforms.
Let's name them off.
All right, so we got Facebook Live. We got
all right,
YouTube
if you use Facebook,
Live.
plan it.
Yes.
YouTube. If you use any of these, talk to us about it and tell us, is it good? Is it bad? In a few words, so people can see, because everyone's watching and watching the chat as well. So your input is going to be very valuable.
So we got Facebook, YouTube. I guess we can count Twitch. I mean, I don't know.
You could do it on Twitch. You could do your services on Twitch. There's nothing that says you can't, and it's a free platform.
Let's see, what's the one? Oh, I can't think of it now. Is it churchstreaming.tv? I'm trying to think of it. It's a .tv. It's available on here, but I can't.
That's good. You might want to look that up in a minute.
Yeah, I'm gonna look
it
that
is churchstreaming.net or .tv. I think .tv. I've heard a lot of guys going over there now.
Yeah. It is church streaming.
Seems to be evolving into a good service. I don't have a ton of experience.
I don't either.
I have a couple churches that we've consulted with that are using it, and they've grown with them and grown through some issues, and it seems to be working good now.
Yeah.
If you have that, please let us know. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Let's talk Wowza for a second. Wowza.
Well, you're going to get confusing, because if you go to Wowza, that's not a platform.
Exactly.
And
you have to basically.
Let's talk about all the platforms that we know, and then if you know of one that we haven't mentioned,
Livestream.
Livestream.
Vimeo just
Vimeo
bought Livestream, and now they've got Vimeo.
Vimeo's pretty hot with the church crowd.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to know how many are really going to shell out the shekels for the very expensive Vimeo.
Here, I'll put this on live here. Okay. If you see this, it's right here. If you go on the site, the very first thing you see is this kind of gospel-looking
marketing. Yeah.
Actually,
interesting.
A little bubble here. If I hover over it, tells me what setting up for then going live. So I mean, they're probably using Livestream's technology since they bought them.
Yeah.
And
do you have this in a 2-screen?
I believe so. Yeah, right there. V1.
All right.
So you've got some.
So you can see who
they're stressing quality here.
Yeah.
Stress-free, trying to make it simple.
I'd like to know. I'd like to know how they're going to guarantee
up
quality.
Up to 1080p, no ads, before, during, or after your
Once
live
I
stream.
saw that price list, I was out.
Let's see what this is.
This is not going to be a good fit for anything we do, nor do I think it will be economical on the house of worship
So here
side.
you get the embeddable. So, but that could be restricted per the plan. So.
Well, that is definitely a tier up, and that's the way Livestream does it as well. They tier it up.
All right. Let's see. Vimeo Premium, $75 a month.
Wow, they've adjusted that. That's come down quite a bit.
That's come down a lot. Unlimited, 7 terabytes of archiving storage. Let's see here.
That's a lot.
Up to 12 hours per event. Wait, so unlimited live streaming up to 12 hours per event. How's that?
So they cap it.
Okay.
It's not
so you
unlimited,
you can jump back on, basically, turn it off and jump back in. Although I don't know, have we ever done an event longer than 12 hours? I'm trying to think if we've done it.
I wonder if that's a 12-hour cap, total cap, or if that's truly for the event. Be interesting to find out.
You get some. It's actually not a terrible plan at 75.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Ours is still cheaper. I think they're matching live streams.
Yeah, I think so too.
Deal now. And it's going to be interesting to see because they're advertising Mevo.
Yeah, I saw that up here.
So how that's going to flesh out, them taking over live stream, and using their products.
Interesting. This is really, and the encoding part. They got new tech on here on OBS, of course.
Yeah.
Probably get to OBS soon. Let's see if they're missing any comments. Okay, what are your thoughts? Okay, Aaron DiPalato, what are your thoughts on the Living as One software for streaming to other campuses? I have not heard of Living as One software.
Let me dig in here.
I'm actually going to go look this up. Living as One. Let's see. James Anderson, we only use Facebook. Seems like the easiest and most accessible for our congregation. Certainly a nice thing about Facebook is everyone's on Facebook. It's not like, you have to tell them to go to churchstreaming.tv/mychurch or a separate URL, another site. Having it on Facebook right there is really accessible. So, man, really hard to argue with that.
Here's one. What do you use to normalize your audio before it gets to the stream? Using an aux out of DLive into a Blackmagic into the stream.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Everyone has to do that.
And let's talk a little bit about standards real quick. I don't want to jump in too deep if the rest of the crowd doesn't want to. Yeah. But so in broadcast TV, this is one of the huge things I see between IP delivery systems and terrestrial delivery systems. The broadcast standard in AES is -17, and that is actually fairly quiet compared to anything you get on an IP delivery system. And we always deliver a lot louder than that. And you're going to want to remember. It's one thing that's been baffling to the standard system on the IP side is that should you deliver at a -17, or should you try to normalize that up and get that closer to like a -10, -8, something really, really loud. And we tend to send out no lower than -10.
Yeah.
But remember, on laptops and on PCs, the way people listen are so different.
Smartphones. I mean.
Yeah, and that might be one of the more consistent arenas. Like if you're just watching on the phone, then the output seems to be fairly, I don't want to say universal, but fairly consistent, even between different manufacturers of mobile phones. But let's say a desktop compared to a laptop. When you're listening through a laptop, it can be much quieter because the amplification's not there. But people that have desktop systems usually have speakers that have small preamps or amps built in, and it's going to be, they have to turn it way back. A lot of them have their setting up loud. So if you deliver -10, -8, man, it's going to be pretty loud. So they might have to reach back. And what you want to think about the end user or the viewer and keep them from technically having to do a whole lot of adjustments. But you'll never get around no adjustments or get to a place where no adjustments. So anyway, to answer your question specifically, Eric, we probably do much like you do in that we set up a stereo bus limiter, and then we will kill anything that gets too high. So it's compressing down, limiting how high it gets, and then we increase our loudness to get a consistent -10. So we give it a little breathing room, so it's not just totally pumping or because the content is so variably different between music, especially when you do a live church service. You got all this music, so the release and the attacks will play a lot different than, say, a spoken word.
Oh, sure.
So you want to leave a little bit of room for all that breathing to really happen, and so it won't pump. So that's tough, setting things real hard on the ceiling and then still allowing it to breathe. So you're going to have a little bit of flexibility. So we aim for -10. We know sometimes we'll get into -8, and then the quiet sections we'll just mix to where we know our meters need to be when it comes to spoken word time. and that way we stay out of like the real hard limiting and compression difficulties sonically that you will get. But I imagine that's kind of what you guys do on you're sending out an aux bus, and you probably put some kind of compressor limiter on that aux bus to get everything fairly normalized. And to me, I think that's one of the best ways. Now, you know, you guys talk and tell us what you do. If you feel like there's a better way to do it, then by all means express yourself. Yeah, and on Living as One, I'm assuming that's a platform of some type?
Yeah, it's really, so it's basically for multi-site churches. Here, I'll put it back up here.
Andrew, you use churchstreaming.tv. Man, I wish we need to make a comparison chart.
Yeah.
Now,
comparing like
I don't know that we could do a
cost.
great comparison chart just on our experience, but if we could all kind of team together and say, get a standard list of things that we're looking for, and then as your experience, you guys check that off, and then maybe we can compile that to the ones that we use. But like you use church streaming, we use live stream, so I couldn't tell you about church streaming really too much, or any of the others. So we definitely need some collaboration to put that together. But I would love to see a chart. Maybe somebody's already done it. If you've done it, publish it to us, and we'll help you get that out there.
So Living as One has partnered with Google Cloud to ensure that each transmit site and each remote site will have versatility in uploading and downloading live media. So interesting, it's using Google Cloud. See video playback with DVR controls, which is good for the multi-sites.
All right, so why do you pick one of those? I like let's say you get the comparison chart and you can see, and let's say they're all kind of even. Let's just we'll live in an imaginary world at this moment and say that they're all fairly even. What are the questions we need to be asking to pick one over the other? Why would we do Facebook, or why would we do YouTube? Why would we do church streaming? Any of those. What is it that we need to be contemplating to come to a good decision? What do you think? You guys answer too. What are good questions we can give guys? So most of you have already been there, but there are a lot of folks out there that are just starting to get into this, and this would be helpful. Why did you pick what you picked?
What was that's what I'm really interested in. Yeah, like what? Like you mentioned Facebook, church streaming. What
is it? Cost? Do we say,
is it reliability? Is it reliability? Like one service is going down on you.
James Anderson mentioned one thing that triggered in my mind that what are my viewers watching? Yeah. What's the ease of access for my viewers?
Sure.
And
especially if you have, say, House of Worship, maybe you have older viewers, and maybe certain sites you got to download Flash Player. I don't have Flash Player on my computer, right? And you're trying to watch, and it could be complicated. Facebook, most people are on Facebook and can watch things on Facebook, and maybe there's not as much of a barrier.
That's why he said Facebook seemed to fit their crowd.
I know a former House of Worship I used to attend. I watched online once. I had to download Microsoft Silverlight to watch it. I don't know what the back end was, but this was maybe 6 years ago, and I was like, so I'm downloading Silverlight on my computer, and I was on a Mac, and it's not working right, and I just got frustrated and couldn't watch. So I mean, I think that does get factored in. How easy is it to watch it? I mean, your Facebook, YouTubes, most people watch that anyway, so there's not a whole lot of technical barrier, I guess. Aaron said cost is a big factor into what we do. I mean,
it is too. It is us too.
What was Vimeo? 75 a month?
Compared to what we do, we don't have a huge budget either.
And the live stream basics 40 a month, Vimeo 75. Facebook and YouTube are going, hey guys, we're zero. Pay like $0 a month. I mean, it's tough.
There are a lot of those free platforms, but I guess then you have to ask the question, how easy is it for our our viewing audience to get there? Is it something they regularly use?
Yeah.
Is it does it represent high quality? So when that gets me to the point when I started getting on I wasn't bashing Facebook because I love Facebook. I think it's a great platform.
Yeah.
But we go to the trouble to mix in stereo and give a good sonic quality representation, or we try, and it all gets compressed down into a mono feed, which sometimes can make things sound worse. So, if you mix for mono, then you're going to get a good result. But if you're mixing for stereos, a lot of times, especially in compression algorithms, you're not sure what's all getting truncated, and how is that actually coming out.
So James, kind of off what I was saying, says, interesting point though, every age group knows how to use Facebook and YouTube.
True. It's true.
Every age group. I know I had to kind of think like, I know, definitely Facebook, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And really YouTube, I mean, just Google and there's the video, and everyone used to playing it.
Yeah, and really, exactly, you said Google. Well, it's when you're trying to search for something, and it's easier to be found in those search engines, to be honest with you. Number one search engine is Google. Number two is YouTube.
Yeah, exactly.
And then number three is Facebook. But Facebook doesn't cross-platform, so you're only going to find Facebook stuff out, even though it's a large search engine.
Or you find like the CNNs or something that have the Facebook pages accelerators built in, but there's a whole side of that.
So I would say, what is your viewing audience? So that might be
Aaron
one of the top
up,
questions.
He brings up a good point here. He goes, we use Facebook Live because all we have to pay for is licensing the computer and the converter. Then we use OBS to stream to Facebook, which is very popular. And then my church has a huge presence on Facebook too, which is a good point, because what if you have 2,000 likes on your Facebook page? And you're wanting to go live, it's right there.
Instant hit.
As opposed to having to build an audience on
That's a good point.
on another site, and then you put the link on Facebook. Well, what's Facebook going to promote? There a live video you're putting on the page, or a link to another site? And you have to think Facebook's going to bump their video higher.
I agree.
And especially when it's already auto playing. They're scrolling through, oh, there they are. Yeah. Or especially if you're not feeling well, or if maybe you've moved and you haven't been there. Oh, yeah, they're back. There they are. I remember them. Oh, it's good to see them. There's a connection you can get, as opposed to hit the link and you're just going, I don't want to.
And and it seems like so many people consume through mobile devices.
Right.
I know we're really growing in this, but I'd like to know at home, how many people still are watching live video on their mobile device compared to a desktop or some kind of larger mobile unit? And because the one reason I bring that up is that everybody's got the Facebook or YouTube app on their deal. You don't even have to type in anything, really. Not really.
You
Once you followed it or favorited it,
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy to just click and get.
That's true. I don't really, unless I'm on a computer, I don't type youtube.com/
Yeah. So
John
I think one of the top questions, if we're developing, what are our questions that we need to ask ourselves as we're trying to pick a platform to stream on? One of those top questions, let's say we'll build a top 3 questions.
Okay.
What are the bulk of my viewers and users using, and how easy can they get to wherever I decide to deliver it? If you answer that question, I think 2 is a second one is going to be cost.
Yeah.
The cost factor.
And then 3rd, maybe quality, or or maybe more technical.
We're sticklers for kind of quality, but we deliver so much.
Even 720 versus 1080 versus 4K. I mean, it could be.
I don't like once you get to that level. I don't think it's that big of a deal. Like, who cares if it's 720 or 4K? I really don't think the end user especially 4K, because small screens are not going to translate that. And if you're paying, especially if you're paying for services, like that's not a worthwhile add-on payment.
Yeah.
To me, that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I brought it up specifically was Living as One, which was pointed out on their site. They have dual 1080p video streaming, and they go stream one Ultra HD 4K or two 1080p 60 videos in perfect sync. So I kind of went, okay, well, I don't even think streaming 4K right now, just because.
So let's
US
think a little bit
so
deeper. Maybe what maybe not the average house of worship guy is going to be thinking. Because we deliver so much, things like that do get important to us, and there are many screens we have to adapt for. The 4K solution really doesn't get noticed, I say, until you get to about a 70-inch screen.
Okay. That's pretty
How
big.
much?
That's a pretty big screen.
Yeah, it's a big screen. So, I mean, yes, you can notice some things at smaller screens, but not really. I mean, we're talking about critically analyzing. To be honest with you, and I'm, as far as work goes and what we deliver, I'm a stickler for the high-end quality. Okay. But I still watch movies on Amazon that I'll save the $1 and pick the SD 480p HD mode.
You're not the only one. I've done the same
because
too.
I've compared them directly, and my experience was not enhanced by paying the extra $1 for 1080.
Yeah.
And
I really couldn't tell based on where my sofa is from the TV.
I couldn't either. And now I don't have a ton of, as funny as this may be, my escape is to get out of this world. So when I go home, I don't bring a whole lot of this world with me unless I'm just working. Right. But I don't have hi-fi type stuff. I listen to it off the TV, and I turn it up.
You don't have the surround sound and the.
The
subs just shaking the house.
I save that for work, but I get it when people do. So it might be worth the extra $1 because you might get a better audio experience. Yeah. But for me, and I'm saying we're trying to do quality comparisons. So on the deliverable end to the user, will it really matter? Do I need to pay the extra money because the dominoes that will fall, every action is going to create some type of reaction, and most of the time it's more than one. So if you go 4K, also you got to remember your pipe has to get bigger. And if you've gone from a 25% use of your output pipe at 1080 to a 75 to 80% use of your pipe to get out that quality at 4K, then now, even though your pipe might be wide enough, let's just say it was wide enough, it's still putting strain, and those strains can create buffering or lost packets. Big deal. And then now it creates a bad experience on the other end. So there's a lot of things to contemplate.
And you don't want that.
And you got to get it right at the start. So just things to think about. Now we're throwing them out there as they come to us. 480p, 720p, I think for me watching on my phone is a great experience, especially if the audio's good. I notice that I choose in live presentation moments, unless it's a sports type deal, it doesn't really, I'd rather my audio be shored up than my video. So in the priority of things, make sure my audio is great, and then make sure my video is great.
And we've talked about this before, like you have radio today with no visual, but you don't have TV without audio. Like you have to have audio, and
audio is primary.
Video is 60% audio, something like that. You know, you hear those little catchphrases, but
you've always, if your priority list and you don't have audio as your number one priority to make sure your quality assurance is the top of the priority list. There's no way to get around that. People listen before they see. And, Yeah, there are no silent movies, and although they say a picture can speak 1,000 words, if you can't hear the 1,000 words and you weren't a part of that experience of that picture, you don't know what that picture's saying. So it doesn't really speak 1,000 words unless you were involved in that memory somehow. So we add audio to picture to translate to people who don't share in that memory the greater idea of what that picture is. So, audio then, there again, just shows how important it is. I don't know why we started talking about
Philosophically speaking, coming to YouTube shortly. Have a new show. But it is the philosophy. I mean, because you have to start deciding what's important, especially when you have costs.
Well, that's kind of what we're talking about right now. Is how what questions do you really need to ask to be able to choose the platform? We can also talk about if we're done with platforms, guys. Feel free to chime in on platforms, but we can talk about the process. Let's talk about from source to destination. And if you're a house of worship and you're delivering your church service, what are the initial things? Let's talk about source side first. Get source to ingest, to process, to delivery.
Here's one I get is that we've got a camera. We just got a camcorder or something, not necessarily a phone, but an actual camera. How do I get on Facebook or how do I get on YouTube?
Good.
What's the next
step?
Yeah, what's the next step? How much does it cost?
All right. So you've got a handy cam that has an HDMI out. Let's give that specific scenario. All right, but all you're doing is just recording it to the camera, and that's been the process for your church. But now Pastor is saying, it'd be really cool if we could get this out to our shut-ins, or how can we deliver this to people who can't be here? If they're sick or on the road, vacation, we still want them to be a part. All great ideas, but what is the best way? And we talked about the platform side, so let's just go to the source side. You got a camera HDMI out. How do I get that into that Facebook thingy?
That is the question. Let's see if I can.
All right, so let's walk through it. You take a cable out of the camera. I'm gonna be very simplistic, but some guys may need it. So don't be insulted by the simplicity of this. But we'll take a HDMI cable out, and that has got to go in. We call it ingest to some type of computer at some level, so that it can be processed and turned into, be transcoded into, or encoded into a way that it can get to a deliverable. Well, if it's just one camera, one of the easiest ways would be have a HDMI input card into a computer. Or they make, like some of the streaming platforms like Livestream, make a little box, and you plug that into the box, and now you can control how that box sends it out. So you can send it out to Livestream, for instance. That is a very, very easy, simplistic way to look at it. Camera to encoder, that encoder does all the magic, and then now you just plug it into an internet connection, and it delivers it to the CDN, which is the Content Distribution Network, and that's what you would pay for. That's the platforms we've been talking about. They're called CDNs. They deliver, it's a big network, and they deliver that to the consumer. All right, that's very easy. Even the Mevo, some of you may use Mevo. We have some Mevo. We do some small event type stuff. Instead of running it through our switches or our network, we'll just hook up the Mevo, turn it on, program it with our phone, which takes about 2 to 3 minutes, and we push that out to Facebook or Livestream or Twitter. I mean, that Mevo app can really push out to a lot of different platforms, really free platforms at that. And that's a good device to consider. You don't have to actually sign up for Livestream to use because it is a live stream product, doesn't mean you have to have a month-to-month commitment with live stream to deliver it, though, because it can do Facebook, Twitter, Periscope.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man, some other ones.
They
I haven't looked in a while.
bunch.
They've upped it up. But we deliver like some band concerts, or because we're a university, we have different small groups that want to deliver some type of very basic content to people that are interested, or the people that are on they set up Facebook pages, and you can go directly to your Facebook page. Very, very, very simple setups.
Yeah.
2, you can get to more complex type things where you come out of a camera, you have a camera, you come out of a camera into a multi-channel switch. And in that switch, let's say you put 5 cameras in, and then like we do, we can toggle around and show you different. We don't really have a ton going on here. I might get in. Are they watching? It looks like one of our computers is watching.
It's got a
Lord of the Rings.
YouTube. Yeah, YouTube. It's playing you were testing with a music video from The Hobbit.
Oh, is this part of the test?
Yeah.
Oh, we're still testing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Sorry. So yeah, well, I don't want to show that. But
so far it looks like test is working well.
Yeah, so
Test
we
is
put a
great.
new switch in. I don't want to get off on that now. But anyway, you can have all these multiple channels come into a switch and then create a program out, and that program out goes to a deliverable. So that can be another device on the outside, or in our case, it's a TriCaster, and in the box itself, you just hook it up to an Ethernet cable, and it will encode it and deliver it out to whatever platform you're signed up to.
Are there any, like, I'm trying to think of, I'm looking for it, but there's like a small box, and it basically has HDMI in and then Ethernet, and it did all the encoding.
The live streamer.
It is, yeah.
If you go to Livestream, look at their products, and it's the Studio, or they've changed the name a couple times on it. Studio or Producer.
The Studio might be the switcher and everything.
It's that guy.
That one?
Yeah, that one.
With
the red.
I'll go put it on the screen here so you guys can see what I see. It's this guy right here. It's got the 2 red, looks like grips on the side.
Go back up to products.
Yeah, we'll go here, products.
Look at Broadcaster.
Yeah, I think that's
that's it.
There it is. Yeah, this guy right here. Yeah, it goes on the top of your camera, and it takes in the input, and then it does the encoding and everything right there in the box. Yeah, there it is. So see the HDMI in and an audio in.
And you can do that from any camera. It'll sense what your resolution is, and then you can bring an alternative audio in if you want, if you're doing a remix and it's not in your HDMI cable. It'll sync it together, and it's pretty nice little piece. And there's some other third parties that do little boxes like this. You just got to go out and so that's a $600 solution to get a camera out to whatever platform you choose. I don't think that is a live stream only deliverable. I think you go in just like with the Mevo and you set it to whatever your RTMP needs to be. RTMP is just your pathing, like you have a URL like HTTP. RTMP is just a place that is delivering your content is getting delivered to. So, and you can manipulate that on these streams, on these streamers, I should say. So, let's see, or go back to the idea where it could be a big box of multi-channel, and here's another one. Use the Wirecast. So or live stream software does it, where it can see multiple channels. So if you take a third-party ingest card and put that into your desktop.
Okay.
And now how many inputs that card will allow you, then Wirecast or Livestream will see all those, and you don't have to buy a big box for multi-channel inputting, but you can do a input card into your existing computer, and then now Wirecast and Livestream see those inputs, and now you can mix that, and they are delivering encoders, and they will get your content to wherever you need to be. So there's a few ways that you can construct a new ground up for. I mean, we've seen it as, I think you can do it as cheap as $600 or $700. Maybe even cheaper if you get an ingest card, and then the Wirecast costs. If you have a Livestream account,
right. I mean, if you have OBS on a computer,
OBS,
right?
That's true.
That's, you won't need to even.
You got to program the output, but
you basically just buy that ingest card. And
OBS
and
is
Wirecast native integration with Facebook Live, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube.
XSplit is another one.
XSplit.
Yeah, XSplit is another OBS type platform. Let's see. So we talked about ingest from your camera to the computer, getting it encoded, and then once it's encoded, it processes out and gets to your delivery system. So all things that you really should think about. A lot of ways to skin those cats. What do you guys think? Everybody's kind of quiet. It's Monday, man.
After that, losing a little bit of sleep too. So.
That was just us, though.
Let's see.
Oh, you're saying daylight savings time?
Yeah, all of us lost some sleep.
Oh man, hour doesn't bother these guys.
Yeah.
Let's
see here.
Scrolling through a couple of things.
Yeah.
So, remixing the audio. That's another deal. So you can take the audio that comes through the camera, and it will be embedded to the output of that camera. And so if you did the first scenario from the output of the small Handycam HDMI out into that little streamer device, then the audio is going to be in that HDMI cable. But if you wanted to remix your audio or bring it from a different source,
has that line in, mic in,
you could take that mixer, come out of it, and go 1/8 inch into the audio in.
Yeah, the broadcast.
And then it'll sync it up. So all things that you really want to consider. I would consider a platform that definitely has stereo. So Facebook will always be for us, or until they fix it, get through a little bit of their audio upgrade. They will always be a secondary type platform for me. And
great for audience engagement, but the quality,
small event type stuff. But when you're doing a larger event, but they're stable. They show that they can handle a lot of viewers. Facebook wins in a lot of areas, so it's not a bad platform to go to. So I say if.
But remixing, let's see.
Well, I was going to say, in my world of what should you pick, I would say YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, even now. On the free side of things, and then on the pay side, I really only have paid for Livestream, so it'd be unfair for me to say don't use someone else. But I give a thumbs up to Livestream.
Aaron chimes in: should the camera adjust to the lights, or should the lights adjust for the camera?
Well, that's very interesting. It
especially
depends
if you're starting. You know, you get that first camera up and.
It depends on the aesthetics of how your services are run. Now, we have the luxury of building broadcast lighting for our stages. So in our big events, we will make our lights do whatever we need it to do to be correctly lit. And then we adjust our cameras to our lighting. But that also takes a step up in cameras. You got to know how to work those cameras, iris controls, things like that. And we shade so when we put our content out, we're doing live shading and things like that. But if you have a smaller camera and it's maybe unmanned, I don't know that you have a whole lot of choice. The first thing that we need to identify is that if you're going to do video, you need to make sure everybody can be seen.
Right.
So I would say light properly as much as you can.
It's kind of a give and take. It's kind of both.
Yeah.
You have to adjust the lights only to a point,
Yeah.
and then from there you just need to have the right camera.
Yeah.
You need to use it and know how to use it.
Yeah. Know how to adjust your irises or
Yeah.
f-stops or whatever.
Don't let it just be a mystery thing where you just kind of spin the dials and I don't know, don't touch it. Being able to go, no, we need to change this. We need to bump.
What do you think, Aaron?
Adjusting our gain or
give us your answer.
Yeah. Be very interested. Let's see here.
But I would say I think the camera needs to adjust to the lights for the scenario that we use. If I was held to have to answer that question very poignantly, we adjust our cameras. We shade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, our boxes also have some other controls for color, so we do that as well. I can also change white balance live, which is awesome. We use that all the time, actually.
And that even gets back into like the audio idea, not taking the front of house mix if you don't have to, because remember your front of house audio mix is being mixed for the live environment, so it's whatever is in that room, and
it should be that
your
way.
engineers gotta to mix for the ears in that room, and it sounds totally different when you're in a box, and that box being your computer. So when that audio information gets spit out, if you're just using the mix from the live source, then it is very, very, it's like 99% likely it's not going to sound right. That doesn't mean it's not going to be unintelligible, but the music sections most likely will be predominantly one thing or the other,
right.
And you won't have a good mix experience or listening experience, because the mix experience, the mix is not developed for that, and that is primarily why we remix audio. Also, by doing a remix audio, you get to record more than one channel or more than the stereo. Well, let me put it this way. The way we have it set up, it's going into a workstation, and we're recording all our channels while we're remixing the audio. And I would highly suggest that if you could. It's a fairly cheap option. You don't have to have expensive software. Reaper, Audacity, programs that are free or next to free that are out there can do those kind of things for you. You just need to be able to output it from your console into a computer or a different mixer, and it does take more help to do that, but I think it's very, very valuable to the experience that your viewer is going to have.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Aaron just chimed in. We use all LED lighting.
Oh,
kind of have the nightclub feel. So I personally, running lights, want the camera to properly show the lights for how I program them. But I always light everyone, so they can be seen in house, and I want the camera to adjust to that. I care more about the look in the room to the people there. So obviously, again, it's kind of give and take of both. You know, we look good for those there and look good for those who aren't there. I think this is a common thing is, well, how many people are online? 4. Well, I've got 100 people here, so I'm going to take care of them first. They came out to see us. You know what I mean? So.
Everything, Ryan. Everything.
You missed it all. Okay.
You could have chimed in really a lot
This is
today.
a huge drawback to Facebook, actually, live, that I haven't seen many people talk about. No live DVR as you're going.
Oh, great point.
I have been on Facebook and I want to go back to get context, and I can't because I have to end it. The Facebook live has to end first before I can go back and watch it. Whereas live stream is live DVR, so if you miss something, you can jump back immediately.
Yeah, for sure.
And mobile and desktop, by the way, with Facebook, it won't let you go back.
We've just been talking about streaming from platforms to the camera to delivery, and man, there's a billion things to talk about inside of that. We try to make it simplistic, and come up with good questions. As what questions should you ask before you pick your platform, and things like that.
Okay, what do you want to say this?
I was reading Aaron's
Yeah,
thing.
he said we have 2 Sony Robo cams and the adjustments made to it are so bad. The colors aren't properly represented. Purple is blue and things like that.
Bro, that's not your fault, and a lot of times that's not your camera's fault, other than that is the nature of digital cameras. And blue is a predominantly strong interpretation of color. So until you get into really, really high-end sensors, merging the color spectrum in between RGB usually defaults strongest to the strongest RGB colors. Right. So if they're in the blue family, they're just going to come out blue. If they're in the green family, they come out green.
They're going to slant green
and
red.
Then
oranges and yellows will
tend
slant
to be more
red
than orange. But blues are the worst by far, so don't feel bad about that.
Also, I talked to, or someone who was with me at NAB got to talk with some of the Sony engineers about how, the purple is perceived as blue, and they know it, but it's kind of a price point thing, and what the sensors can do at that size.
And we've had the Sony engineers come out and actually try to tweak our cameras, but it's a process coloring thing of LED is what they tell us. So it's not the same as if you were using conventional lighting, like tungsten type lighting with gels on top. Comes out totally different.
Right.
But this is the nature of the color spectrum inside of how LED delivers. And the camera's chips, we have half-inch chips, so we're not in the two-third chip world. They do the same thing. Two-thirds chips will do the same thing. They're a little more flexible, and they can interpret better. So as you step down, half-inch, then your third-inch chips, they just gradually get weaker in their interpretations. And you have to really, really work hard. But on our half-inch chips, we've got some presets that we don't overcome with, but it gets closer to a better representation, I guess. But purples are always blue on our screen, and it's just something that you kind of in the creative production part, you kind of got to learn to live with and deal with. So if there's an effective outcome that you need to happen in creative production, you got to think about what it's going to look like and determine where your coloring needs to go. If you need something, like you need to go either red or green if you need it to be different than blue.
And the people on our crew, they've noticed like the blue versus purple, but I've never had anyone come up and go, "Hey, why was it purple there and blue?" I have never had. Maybe they noticed and didn't tell me, but most of it as our crew, they'll go, "Hey, I just noticed this," and we go, "Yeah, okay, yeah, we know it's the LED lighting, but don't want to get into that." So if it's any consolation, most people don't even notice, I feel like if they did, they'd come tell us. They tell us a lot of other stuff that seems pretty small. So,
and I'll tell you another thing is that if you don't get your blacks right, always black balance. I would just encourage you to black balance every time you white balance, but which should be quite a lot, to be honest with you. I would do it every day, but I've noticed you don't have to black balance every time, but they will get out of sync if you do a lot of white balancing. Your black balance, well, it's more digital balancing, but they do get a little bit out of sync. And one way that you will really be able to see, so there's a lot of red in black, and if you begin to see your reds pop out in your blacks, then you know you're not correctly white balanced. And
white balanced?
I'm black balanced. I'm sorry, not white balanced, but you're not correctly black balanced.
So,
and it depends on what kind of black it is. There are some stronger reds, but we will crush our blacks to be truly dark. And then there's a fine line, what's too dark and what's not. But that's another inherent problem with digital cameras, is that the blacks are not really true, and sometimes they add in red to get there. So you got to be careful of that. Go ahead. There was.
Aaron just said that the camera op took colors out so that people look natural, but they already look natural. So always a fun.
It is a balancing act, man. And if you get too crazy with it, you'll find yourself, if you're shading in a live situation, you're just constantly tweaking knobs, trying to get it perfect. So we find that we get to what we feel like is a good color composition, and then we tune all of our cameras to look alike. And then hopefully, if we did it right, because we balance our lighting on our stage correctly, that those things will not really change, not too much. Maybe a little bit of iris here and there, you might hit a hot spot here and there, but the coloring really doesn't change. If you get into shading colors live, man, that's a beast. You got to have somebody that really knows what they're doing. And we don't have that many people, experts on our team. So we have to diversify. So we get to what we call the fair color composition, and we stick with it. We just try to make it all look the same. Anything else?
That's mostly it. More about, if you have multiple cameras, it's probably more important to match them than, well, I don't know if I want to say that, but I would focus more on matching them. The purple-blue thing you probably can't fix, but making sure they look similar, the correct white balance on all of them.
So you can't DVR on Facebook.
No.
We'll revisit that. You can on live stream.
You can on live
stream.
on,
I'm sure, a lot of other paid platforms.
Check YouTube. I'll make sure right now, since I've got that.
Right. We'll look at YouTube real quick, just to see if we can DVR that. It's been a while. You can on YouTube. So there is a free service out there that will allow you to DVR in real while you're live.
And Facebook's
but Facebook hasn't added that feature in.
Nothing.
If we're wrong, tell us.
Like we said last week, you say this isn't that way, and then you check. Oh, they changed it. They added that feature. So let us know if they do. YouTube has that.
All right, so we just tested it on YouTube. We know for a fact that YouTube does. So free platform that DVRs, that's pretty strong.
DVRs, live DVR, unlimited.
It is unlimited.
Man. YouTube is and does stereo.
And you can embed YouTube wherever you go. I mean, all those are free.
And Google search, obviously, features. Kind of built-in implementation there. So because it's owned by Google, so. There are some definite positives to YouTube. Facebook still has that instant audience. It's just real. That is
and
tough to
one real quick thing before we leave, just because I can't let a day go by without talking. NDI found a device that we were talking about the last. If you go back to our last lunchtime conversation, it was on NDI, and the output device. There's really no output devices. Well, we found a third-party guy out in California that made one. We don't really know how it works or whatever, but it found out it was $1,500, and we're like, dude, man, I hate to tell you, but you know, we can put cheap computers together, like really mobile type computers together with HDMI output, and load a free NDI Studio software on it, and
just remote into it to control it.
Yeah, and remote in to control it. So if he could get that price point down, or whoever's going to come out with the box. So we know the box has been made.
Right.
Now it's getting the price point down to, and I say $250, $300 is going to be the magic price for that. But
that would be nice.
But we were talking about it hadn't been done yet.
I know.
We just didn't find it until right after the show. And actually, Michael Sanders.
Shout out to Michael Sanders.
Yeah, he found it. And
he's a frequent on these lunchtime chats. And haven't seen
he told us about it, so I contacted the guy. And I've been having pretty good dialogue with the guy that made this unit. And it's been real interesting. So we know it's coming at some point in the near future. And NDI with an output box that you could strap on any TV and get your NDI network into a display. Anyway, enough of that. I just wanted to revisit that.
All right, last question, James Anderson. Can the TriCaster stream to YouTube and Facebook simultaneously?
We are doing it right now.
It says you get 2 streams, but this Facebook lock you to 1.
Yeah.
And no, I just posted it, and I put the YouTube link if you guys want to see that as well. Yeah, we're going Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, so if you're watching, and
I think you can even go to, I think we tested it, but you can go to like multiple Facebook pages from here, just maximum 5. That's your maximum. So you can set up different. So I can go to Twitch. I could add that.
Yeah, we could. Azure has one, a delivery service.
Yeah, churchstreaming.tv is also.
So on the TriCaster, that's a TriCaster.
Yeah, it is a TriCaster.
That's an advanced software TriCaster, actually.
Yeah, advanced edition,
so if you just buy a basic TriCaster, it wouldn't do it. You have to have the advanced software to multi-platform. It's called multi-platforming, and
it's on advanced
it encodes it once, but actually sends that same encode out to a max of 5. We're doing 2 right now.
Yeah. So.
Good question.
Yep. Well, looks like that's
all right, guys. We got some other meetings we got to go do today, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It was.
Spread the word. You guys like MediaTek Mentor, and if you guys want to be a part, please feel free. This is an open community. We're just kind of starting it. We want to be the facilitators, I guess, but we want to hear from you guys. Dial in. Use the technology that's right there at your fingertips, and if you video chat us, we can bring you right in and put you in the switch, and you can have a live voice in the conversation.
Yeah.
We did it once with Jared Latimer, but feel free. It's open to anybody that wants to join. If you guys have any other ideas about how we can better communicate as a circle of influencers and friends and professional comrades, then please, by all means, let's do it. Let's put it together, and if you need us to push something for you, we'll be glad to do that. So for today, unless you have something else, I'm done.
I'm done.
All right.
Thanks for joining.
Have a great day.